Today, we're going to map out the absolutely incredible journey of an AI mind, tracing its evolution from what was basically a simple chatbot to what's becoming a true strategic partner.
I mean, think about it. This whole transformation is happening faster than anyone could have predicted. It feels like just yesterday we were amazed by an AI that could talk, and now we have AI that can actually do things. We're literally watching a new kind of intelligence evolve right in front of us.
So the big question is, how did this happen? How did it learn to think, to plan, and to actually start changing our world? Let's dive in and unpack the key conceptual leaps that took us from a clever toy to something, well, something much, much more powerful.
Okay, so our story begins with what I like to call the fluent guesser. This is GPT 3.5, the model that really introduced the entire world to the magic of large language models. It was a massive breakthrough, for sure, but it was really a master of just one particular trick. And that trick was something called fluent guesswork. You see, it wasn't truly understanding what it was saying, it was just an unbelievably sophisticated prediction machine, constantly calculating the most statistically likely word to come next. But man, that one trick was so good, it sounded incredibly human.
But, and this is a big but, that fluency had a serious flaw. If you tried to have a long conversation with it, you'd run straight into the coherence challenge. It would just lose the plot. It'd forget what you were talking about, get details mixed up, and the whole logical thread would just fall apart. This proved pretty clearly that sounding human isn't the same as being competent.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The numbers tell the story. On standardized exams, the ones that need real deep reasoning, GPT 3.5 scored in the bottom 10% of all test takers. So yeah, it could talk the talk, but it definitely couldn't walk the walk. And that gap, well, that set the stage for the next giant leap forward.
And that leap was GPT-4. Now, this wasn't just a little upgrade. No way. This was a fundamental shift from a party trick predictor to a genuinely competent knowledge worker. This is when the AI finally learned to be reliable.
And the results were just staggering. I mean, look at this. On those exact same tests, performance jumped from the bottom 10% all the way to the top 10%. That's not an improvement, that's a quantum leap in its ability to reason. Suddenly, the AI could handle complex code, it could do nuanced analysis, and it could stay on track through incredibly detailed projects.
So you're probably asking, how in the world did it get so much smarter, so fast? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is a concept called multimodality. Put simply, the AI learned to see. It wasn't just stuck with text anymore. It could now process and actually understand images, charts, and all kinds of visual data, giving it so much more context about our world.
Here's a really simple way to think about it. A text-only AI is like trying to understand a movie by only reading the script. But a multimodal AI, it gets to watch the entire film, with all the visuals, all the sound, the whole shebang. It just gives it a much deeper, more complete understanding of everything.
And this combination of top-tier skill plus massively improved safety, it was about 82% less likely to respond to bad requests. This created what we call the trust bridge. For the very first time, people and businesses felt they could actually rely on the AI for important, critical tasks. And that trust, that paved the way for absolutely everything that came next.
Okay, so we've got this super smart, reliable AI, but a new problem was brewing. It was becoming incredibly expensive to run. The models were getting so massive that using all that power for every single little question just wasn't sustainable. It was time for a major brain upgrade.
See, the old way of building these things, what's called a dense model, meant that every single part of the AI's brain had to fire up to answer even the simplest question. Imagine having to call an all-hands meeting with your entire company just to answer one customer email. It just doesn't scale.
So the solution was a totally different design called Mixture of Experts, or MoE. Now, instead of one giant, overworked brain doing everything, the MoE model acts more like a smart project manager. It looks at a task that comes in and sends it only to a small, specialized team of experts that are perfect for that job. It's just so much more efficient. And this efficiency, this idea of only using the parts you need, it was a total game changer. It meant that models could become way more powerful without the cost skyrocketing. And that, right there, is what made the next generation of AI economically possible. It basically unlocked the door for the next major evolution. So now we have a competent brain and an efficient brain. So what's next? Well, this is where it gets really mind-bending. The AI was ready for its next big step. It was time for it to develop its own internal monologue. It was about to learn how to think before it acted. It started with a technique called chain of thought, which is basically like telling the AI, hey, show your work. You force it to lay out its reasoning step by step. But the real breakthrough was something called tree of thoughts. Now, with this, the AI doesn't just follow one single path. It actually explores multiple different solutions at the same time. It thinks ahead about where each path might lead, and it can even backtrack and try something else if one idea isn't working out. This is real strategic planning, just like how you or I would tackle a really tough problem.
And that brings us to where all of this has been heading. This is the culmination of the whole journey. All of these pieces, the competence, the efficiency, the planning, they're all coming together to create something brand new, the goal-driven AI agent.
And this is a fundamental shift in what AI is even for. We are moving away from generative AI, which is great at answering our questions, to something called Agentic AI, which is designed to proactively achieve our goals. It's the difference between a passive encyclopedia and a proactive assistant. It's going from a system that can only read information to one that can actually act in the digital world. So how does it act? Well, you can think of it as giving the AI a set of digital hands. Through things called APIs, these AI agents can connect to other software, they can pull real-time data, book your flights, manage your databases, they can execute entire complex workflows all on their own.
And the impact this will have on how we work is going to be profound. We're really entering the era of the agentic organization, where entire workflows are redesigned from the ground up to be AI first. Our roles as humans will shift from doing the tasks to providing strategic oversight, managing from above the loop. You'll see small human teams supervising vast agent factories. This isn't just another layer of automation, it's a complete transformation of how work gets done.
So when we zoom out and look back at this whole journey, you can see this beautiful logical progression. First, the AI learned to speak with fluency. Then it learned to see and to reason with real competence. It got an efficient brain so it could scale its power. Then it developed strategic thought so it could plan its actions. And finally, it's gaining hands to actually act on those plans and change the world. Every single one of those steps was an essential building block that led us right to this moment. We are no longer just talking to AI, we are truly starting to work with it. And as these autonomous agents start to manage more and more of our world, the great question for all of us is this: what new kind of partnership is going to emerge between our human creativity and this incredible new machine intelligence?